Before we begin, take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss stories that matter. Today's story is not just about talent. It's about resilience, grief, pressure, and the quiet strength of a child who carried more weight than the world ever saw. Some voices entertain us. Others stay with us. Malachi Bio's voice belongs to the second kind. His journey is not simply about applause on a stage, but about growing up under a spotlight that few adults could survive. This is the story of how a prodigy rose, fell into heartbreak, and found meaning beyond fame. There are rare moments on talent show stages when time seems to pause, when a single voice fills the room and everything else fades away. For Malachi Bio, that moment arrived early in his life, long before he could understand what it would cost him. To the audience, he appeared calm, gifted, and almost angelic. But behind that voice was a young boy stepping into a world of expectations far larger than himself. His journey would soon test his spirit in ways no judge ever could. Malachi Bio was born in 2010 in London to parents from Sierra Leone who had come to the UK seeking opportunity and stability. He grew up in a modest but loving household where music, faith, and community played a central role. It was a home filled with encouragement rather than pressure. His mother noticed early that her son's voice carried something unusual. It wasn't just beautiful. It was expressive, emotional, and deeply moving even at a young age. Trusting her instincts, his mother enrolled him in the choir at St. George's Cathedral in Suffolk. Malachi later joked that it was his bossy mum who pushed him into it, but that decision changed everything. Under the guidance of choir master Scott Price, Malachi learned discipline, patience, and how to perform with control. Choir practice taught him how to stand still, breathe properly, and let emotion flow through sound. Music became more than a hobby. It became his language. By the age of 7, people were already taking notice. Teachers, church members, and family friends all sensed something special. But the moment that truly introduced Malachi to the wider world came unexpectedly. A school Christmas performance of "Oh Holy Night" was shared online, and within days it exploded. Millions of people watched in disbelief as a small boy delivered a performance filled with purity and emotional depth far beyond his years. Opportunities followed quickly. In November 2022, Malachi made his solo debut at the Royal Opera House, performing in Handel's Alcina. Critics praised his maturity and emotional intelligence, calling him a rising star. Soon after, he recorded Christmas duets with Welsh tenor Earl Jones. Those videos went viral, gathering over 30 million views. At just 12 years old, Malachi was already being introduced as one of Britain's most promising young classical voices. When Malachi auditioned for Britain's Got Talent in 2023, expectations were already high. Still, nothing could prepare the audience for what happened next. Walking onto the stage at only 13, he appeared quiet and polite, almost shy. His family stood backstage, offering encouragement and silent prayers. When he introduced his song choice, Pai Jesu, the judges leaned forward, sensing something serious was about to unfold. The first note changed everything. The theater fell into complete silence. Malachi's voice floated through the room with control, clarity, and emotion that felt almost unreal for someone his age. Alicia Dixon looked stunned. Bruno Tonioli froze, unable to react. By the final note, the audience erupted. Simon Cowell leaned forward, smiled softly, and pressed the golden buzzer. Golden confetti rained down as Malachi stood in disbelief, tears filling his eyes. Overnight, his life changed. His audition spread across social media, reaching millions of viewers around the world. Headlines called him the angelic voice of the season. Interviews, praise, and attention came flooding in. But behind the celebrations, something else quietly began to form. The weight of expectation. The pressure to be perfect. The responsibility of living up to a moment that had captured the world's attention. As Malachi prepared for the semifinals, the pressure intensified. He chose an extremely demanding operatic piece, pushing himself vocally and emotionally. His rehearsals were intense, structured like those of a professional adult performer. Coaches expected excellence, not forgiveness for his age. While the world saw confidence, Malachi was learning what it meant to carry a future that others were already planning for him. The semifinal performance stunned the judges again. Praise poured in. Words like gifted, extraordinary, and divine followed him everywhere. He advanced to the final, but inside, cracks were beginning to form. Fame had arrived too fast. Interviews, public scrutiny, and constant pressure left little space for rest. And Malachi carried these emotions quietly, never wanting to disappoint anyone. Even before BGT, Malachi had already experienced the darker side of fame. During a performance at the Royal Opera House, an audience member shouted rubbish mid-song. He was only 12. Though the crowd defended him and the opera house condemned the incident, the moment stayed with him. It was a harsh introduction to cruelty in public life, a lesson that applause and criticism often arrive together. Then came the moment that changed everything. Just days before the BGT final, Malachi's grandmother passed away. She had been one of his strongest supporters, always encouraging him to sing with heart and humility. Her loss shattered him. Rehearsals felt empty. Music no longer brought comfort. Producers offered him the chance to withdraw, understanding the weight of his grief. Malachi chose to continue. He selected a song deeply connected to his grandmother and stepped onto the final stage carrying grief no child should bear. His voice trembled at times, not from lack of skill, but from heartbreak. The performance was raw and deeply human. Judges were visibly emotional. Though he finished in fourth place, many felt they had witnessed something far greater than a competition. After the show ended, Malachi did not collapse under the weight of loss. Instead, he slowly began to rebuild. Music became a place of healing rather than pressure. Soon after, Universal Music offered him a record deal. His debut album Golden was released in July 2023 and reached #1 on the UK classical charts, later topping Billboard's classical rankings in the United States. Collaborations followed with legendary composers and performers. Industry giants praised not only his voice, but his humility and emotional intelligence. He performed at the Royal Albert Hall, standing before a full orchestra, reclaiming his confidence note by note. Each performance felt like a quiet tribute to the woman who had believed in him from the beginning. Despite international recognition, Malachi returned to school like any other teenager. He carried books, laughed with friends, and played games during breaks. Fame surrounded him, but it never consumed him. He remained grounded, supported by family who ensured his childhood was protected as much as possible. As his voice began to change with age, Malachi spoke openly about it. He didn't fear the transition. He welcomed it. He saw growth as evolution, not loss. This mindset revealed his maturity. He wasn't clinging to past success. He was preparing for the artist he would become. Beyond performance, Malachi revealed a deeper dream. He wants to support music education for children who cannot afford lessons. He dreams of creating spaces where talent matters more than money. He believes every child with passion deserves a chance, regardless of background. That belief now guides his journey more than fame ever could. Malachi Bio's story is not defined by applause or trophies. It is defined by resilience, humility, and purpose born from loss. His voice rose during one of the hardest chapters of his life, and it continues to grow stronger. The world has not yet seen the full measure of who he will become. What part of his story touched you the most? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay with us for more powerful stories like this.